Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
When shopping for your family's meals, do you know where you can find Alaska-grown products? Everywhere. They're available at your local grocery stores and farmers markets across the state. Alaska-grown products are fresher and more nutritious, and buying local helps grow our economy. So just look for the Alaska-grown label when you shop, or ask your grocer where the Alaska-grown products are. Remember, Alaska-grown. It's closer, fresher, better.
And it's all Alaska-grown.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us here at KAKM Studios for Thursday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy. On the first graphic here, current temperatures, this came out about 1:30 this afternoon, or 1:32 from Juneau, and it shows the range of temperatures here well into the 70s at that time. 77 in Hoonah, Gustuvos, McGrath up to 76, Haines 79. Since that time, some of those have popped into the 80s. Otherwise, you can see it contrasted here from 79 at Haines to 55 at Sitka, and Ketchikan down to the south just 59 degrees, and that's because there were some clouds down over the southern southeast coast. A lot of low stuff here from Dixon Entrance up across Ketchikan, located in that area there, including Metlakatla and Nanette, and clear skies, Port Alexander into the 60s, but you can see this low cloud deck that was streaming northward throughout the day today here, keeping Sitka in the marine layer only in the 50s, but warmer temperatures inland. Also on the north coast there, temperatures were warmer with the sunshine. This area tending to burn back southward during the afternoon hours. On the fire danger map, extreme fire danger here over the central eastern Copper River Basin, just about down to the mountains there. And there are red flag warnings out for that zone for tomorrow for winds that are expected to pick up, maybe gusting to 30 miles per hour, mainly along the Copper River out of the south. Otherwise, kind of an expanded area of high fire danger here over much of the west central interior areas down just about to Lake Iliamna, some over northeast Bristol Bay, and definitely over the Seward Peninsula. Some extreme areas showing up here over toward the Yukon areas and off toward Eagle. Moving on to satellite imagery. Yesterday, a lot of clear skies. We had a weak trough here bringing clouds and some moisture to the North Slope areas, and some of that cloudiness spilling over the Brooks Range into the northern upper Yukon, Koyukuk Valley areas extending back out to the coastline. Otherwise, lots of sunshine again over the interior, warm temperatures, and moisture sliding southward here, bringing some shower activity, isolated thunderstorms along the eastern border there. This area actually sliding down across the area last night and early this morning. And then a lot of clouds out here to the west, frontal boundary right along the southwest coast there, which today we had a new development come northward and moving right up through here. Brought a fair amount of rain to the Alaska Peninsula as it passed through last night and early this morning. And a narrow band of rain here coming across mostly south of the north shore of Bristol Bay, extending up across Nunivak Island to just south of St. Lawrence Island. Breaks behind it, but still a lot of clouds out there, a lot of clouds covering the Bering Sea. A few isolated showers, mostly cloudy skies for the Aleutians, but winds on the light side. Lots of sunshine here from the North Slope, some clouds lingering along the central and eastern Arctic coast, but sunshine, very warm temperatures, 70s into the mid-80s in some locations, and along the North Gulf Coast areas and into the Panhandle. Really not showing up the lower cloud deck on this imagery here. But you can see the higher stuff was sliding southward. A few isolated showers here over along the eastern border, but thunderstorm activity pretty isolated, mostly up over the Northwest Territories and the Yukon. And on the chart today, again, all the sunshine here, clouds down to the south, and again, not really showing up. That low cloud bank sneaking up the coast there into the Sitka area. And again, sunshine here over southern Alaska, right up into the interior, some developing queue during the afternoon hours up over the east central interior areas. And then this low center pushing up to the northwest, kick the winds up Cape Newenham up to 30-35 miles an hour out of the southeast in gusts. And as this front came across the Alaska Peninsula, King Cove picked up over an inch of rain in the last 24 hours. Falls Pass had 0.8 of an inch, and both Sand Point and Nelson Lagoon picked up about half an inch. So there was plenty of moisture with this feature coming northeastward, a trough back out to the west, some showers just west of the Pribilof, some of which may swing in there this evening, and then that moisture just almost up to St. Lawrence Island. This a lot of mid or just high cirrus stuff here into the southwest interior and on up to the north there, with the main rain producing area in the green shaded zone right through there. And for tonight, west-southwest flow is going to continue to push that band eastward, so look for some rain to show up over northeast Bristol Bay. Chance of rain, Kodiak Island, mostly on the west side, Shelikof Strait areas, back to the northwest across the deltas and to St. Lawrence Island. A few scattered showers following in behind, fair conditions behind that, and then a few isolated showers mostly north of the western and central Aleutians. It's going to stay kind of breezy and cool along the Arctic coast there, but just some variable clouds over the north slope, maybe the Berks Range. Fair, light winds over all of the interior. Very mild evening coming up in most locations. And variably cloudy, again, isolated showers, possible thunderstorms along the eastern border this evening, but kind of a variable cloud condition. Again, those continuing to drop southward out of Canada. And then could see an increase in the lower stuff here right along the coastline. For tomorrow, looks like about the same story, maybe a few more clouds in here over the southeast coast, but still plenty of clearing in other areas and less of a risk of the shower activity, but it does persist there, mainly along the eastern mountains along the border. High pressure, light winds, maybe the low clouds and fog increasing over what they were today, so that may socket in along the coast, possibly during the day tomorrow. This front edges its way eastward, spreads a chance of rain to the southern Kenai Peninsula. Chance of showers into southern Cook Inlet, mostly south of Kenai on down toward Anchor Point, Seldovia, Homer, Iliamna. Chance of rain, probably a better chance there. A few scattered showers following the front into the southwest interior, mostly cloudy skies. And breezy conditions here, southwesterlies 15 to 20, maybe, or probably southwest 10 to 20, possible gusts of 25 in some areas, but definitely more clouds and a better chance for moisture there into Norton Sound and at least the southern portion of the Seward Peninsula. So of course temperatures will be cooler there tomorrow than what you saw today, but another very warm day. Temperatures into the lower to mid 80s through the central interior, Tanana Valley. Very nice conditions again across the Berks Range and actually all the way out to the Arctic coast. Could be some low stuff there along the central coast, but pretty nice conditions up there. And some scattered showers out over the Pribilof. The main upper level low now pulling up to the northeast, and that's going to continue to push this area of moisture northward or eastward and northward into tomorrow night, and then some moisture rainfall with this next system possibly reaching the central Aleutians late tomorrow afternoon. Definitely that'll push up tomorrow night and then advance eastward to the Alaska Peninsula. Of course, first the eastern Aleutians, then to the Alaska Peninsula. And on Saturday, a pretty good low center will pull up into the southeast Bering Sea there, right to about that location, front driving northward and eastward here. So rain developing across Kodiak Island and definitely rain, gusty winds, Alaska Peninsula, rain spreading northward in across the mainly the Kuskokwim Delta, thickening, lowering clouds over the Yukon Delta, chance of rain late. Showers, Seward Peninsula, back out towards St. Lawrence Island, more of the fog, low clouds, drizzle, light rain variety out there, and just mostly cloudy areas of fog there across the Aleutians, but dry, and high pressure off the coast. Again, areas of low clouds and fog showing up anywhere along the coastline here. The Panhandle, definitely a dry day. Saturday, a few clouds here and there, especially during the morning hours, and nice conditions, staying mild there. Copper River Basin, but those southerly winds will continue to be pretty gusty there along the Copper River, and looks pretty good. Mild temperatures up across the eastern interior. Tanana Valley, variable clouds, basically dry. Showers though Good chance of showers south central Alaska, especially western Cook Inlet and the Alaska Range, Talkeetnas northward, Chugach Mountains. Better chances moisture sliding northward here. Showers or just flat out rain into western Prince William Sound, Seward over to Whittier and Portage, maybe Valdez. Cordova may escape with just clouds. Otherwise, temperatures this afternoon, not the highs, but pretty warm in some locations. Again, Sitka stuck in the marine layer at 56 degrees. Port Alexander with sun, 67, upper 50s down to the south. 79 at Juneau, that 83 is at Hoonah, 81 at Sitka, also 79, I believe that was at Gustavus, and a 77 today over at McGrath. Lower 70s along the North Gulf Coast, Cordova, Valdez, and at Portage, 64, Seward, 63 in Homer, and 66 down at Kodiak. They were actually up to 68 at some point during the day, 79 at Gulkana, and 85 degrees. That occurred at Thunderbird Falls, 85 at Stony, also 85 up to the northeast there at Stony River, which I believe is south of McGrath, obviously, where they had 80 degrees. Near 80, or actually upper 70s, lower 80s across the Tanana Valley, with 82 at Tanana. Farther north, a little cooler, 73 at Bettle, 68 Fort Yukon, upper 50s, near 60 for the Berks Range. And again, those easterly winds keeping it kind of cool here in the 30s along the central and eastern Arctic coast. Otherwise, sunshine, 50s across the north slope. Point Lay, offshore flow, 62 degrees. And 50s to lower 60s up over the northwest. Quite a range across the Seward Peninsula. 56 at Wales, although Teller up to 76 degrees today. Koyuk 82, Nome 60. Inland areas there, Granite Creek up to 81. Otherwise 43 at Savunga. And very nice 70s here in the lower Yukon areas. 69 in Bethel. Then cooler out toward the coast. Macoriac at 48. Upper 40s for the Pribilofs, 40s to lower 50s out here over the Aleutians, Adak up to 52, and 53 at Unalaska, some clouds, 50s for the Alaska Peninsula, and 73 at King Salmon. For lows tonight, very mild, 55 to 60 up here over the west central interior with mild conditions out across the Seward Peninsula, near or a little below the frost point up there over the eastern and central Arctic coast, otherwise 40s and 50s everywhere else. For the highs tomorrow, back in again to the lower to mid 80s here through the Tanana Valley, including the greater Fairbanks area, near 80, even off to the east there, Fort Yukon, up from today at 76, but definitely cooler weather pushing into the southwest interior here, just 50s and 60s, Susitna Valley into the mid 70s there. Again, the increasing clouds over southern Cook Inlet and the Kenai Peninsula, 60s for the southeast coast. And for flying weather, look for marginal VFR to start the day out here. Again, the roughly about Sitka, including Port Alexander across the southern panhandle, up along the Arctic coast, mainly central and east side. IFR, Nunivak Island out to the Pribilofs, and some of that reaching the Alaska Peninsula. Then tomorrow afternoon, that continues to advance in along the coastline there from about Togiak, right along the coast up to St. Lawrence Island, southern Seward Peninsula, through the Bering Strait, right up to Point Hope and Cape Lisburne, down to the Pribilofs, and IFR south of the Aleutians making a push to the north, and tomorrow night that'll spread right on up into the area. For passes, Anatuvik, VFR, same forecast for Adigan. Lake Clark and Merrill starting out VFR, becoming marginal throughout the afternoon. Rainy VFR, windy, same forecast. Isabel looking good. Mentasta, Tanita, Portage, Chilcoot and White, all VFR. Freezing levels, 10,000 feet. This afternoon, 32 degrees occurred a little over 11,000 feet at Anchorage, and tomorrow will be a little lower, but 12,000 feet just southwest of Kodiak Island, 10,000 feet all the way up into the northwest interior, western Brooks Range, a little lower over the Panhandle, and then thermal wind following these isotherms, or actually freezing level lines. That's going to push that front right on into the southwest interior tomorrow and farther east on Saturday as the whole upper level low begins to pull eastward and northeastward. For icing tomorrow, again, that band of moisture shifting eastward and northward, so that'll may spread into the Cook Inlet, southern Kenai Peninsula area, extending back in toward Norton Sound, southern Seward Peninsula, and then icing starting to invade the central Aleutians late in the afternoon, all above 10,000 feet down there. Pretty high up here as well. You have to get up to about 8,000 feet or better before you hit freezing conditions. And the winds aloft, again, that southwest jet here, just north of the Aleutians, right into Bristol Bay. Ridge now kind of breaking down, definitely breaking down here to the west as this upper low tracks east-northeastward. Higher pressure holding here along the North Gulf Coast, and again into the interior, and that should hold at least over the Panhandle eastern interior, at least through the first day of the weekend. 9,000-foot winds looking something like this, that low at, up just west of St. Lawrence Island there, or near Gamble. Westerlies 20-25 right into the southwest interior, lighter down over the Alaska Peninsula. Southern Alaska, pretty light, even the eastern interior all the way up to the North Slope. Very light winds, and it looks like very light onshore flow now for the southeast coast. 3,000-foot wind, same pattern. Higher pressure generally off the coast, real weak trough right through here, but general onshore flow now at about 10 knots, quite weak. And south-southwest, 15 to 20, maybe 25 knots here north of Nunivak Island, and lighter for the Alaska Peninsula. Pretty light out over the Aleutians and southern Bering Sea. So for turbulence-wise, maybe isolated light to probably no moderate chop at all, just areas of light turbulence here, Kuskokwim Bay, Nunivak Island, up in across the Seward Peninsula, and also pretty gusty southerly winds in the forecast here with a tighter gradient over the northern Panhandle, and maybe over the Wrangell Mountains as well, below about 4,000 feet. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Let's go to Mars.
Hey there, stargazers. I'm James Albury, director of the Kika Silva Pla Planetarium in Gainesville, Florida.
And I'm Dehne Regas, astronomer for the Cincinnati Observatory. We're here to help you find your way around the sky. The planet Mars is back in the nighttime sky and looking big, bright, and beautiful.
And red.
Exactly.
Currently, we have several unmanned spacecraft circling Mars and 2 rovers rolling on Mars. So it got us thinking, what would it be like to visit Mars?
Up close.
In person.
So, this week we'll show you where to find Mars in the earthly sky and then take you on a journey across millions of miles to the red planet. Let's go.
Okay, we have our sky set up for Thursday, June 16th, facing south. We're close to the summer solstice, so it doesn't get really dark until after 10 p.m. So our view here is at 11 p.m.
Excellent. I love any excuse to stay up late with the stars and planets. And there's a lot to see in the southern sky this week. On Thursday, we'll be having the waxing gibbous moon above Mars. Yep, that bright reddish star is actually the red planet.
Cool. And it's so easy to find right now. Over to the left, you'll spot 2 fainter objects. The dimmer one is the star Antares, the beating heart of the constellation Scorpius Scorpion, and the brighter one on the left is the ringed planet Saturn.
Ah, my favorite, but I'll stay focused on Mars since that's our destination today.
Good idea. But first, let's see how things change over the week. On Friday night, the moon will shift to the left, and on Saturday night, it will cozy up next to Saturn.
Nice.
Then on Sunday and Monday, the moon will continue on its way, but still leave our 2 planets and 1 bright shining star to the south.
Now comes the fun part. Let's blast off for Mars and take you in for a closer look. Up and away!
This week, Mars is almost 50 million miles from Earth.
When Earth and Mars are properly positioned, it takes a rocket about 7 months to make the trip, but we'll get you there in a few seconds.
As we approach the red planet, we'll first notice that it's not super red. It looks more orange, brown, pink, and rusty. And that's because there's a lot of iron in the rocks of Mars that actually have rusted over time.
The bright white areas are the polar ice caps. There's lots of dry ice around the Martian poles, but also a fair amount of water ice. Maybe we can chip off a few pieces and add them to our drinks.
Before we land, let's fly by Mars's 2 moons. First up is Deimos, the smaller one. It's less than 8 miles across and circles the planet every 30 hours.
Then we come to the larger moon, Phobos. It's still very small, only about 14 miles wide. Despite being covered in craters, Phobos might make a great base of operations for future manned missions.
It could be a stopover for astronauts or an orbiting observatory to watch the planet more closely.
Someday, astronauts may shuttle down to Mars and back from this little moon. All right, we made it. We're the first humans to reach the surface of Mars.
And what a view! Most of Mars looks like a dry, desolate orange desert with rocks strewn about and deep craters. Any water on Mars is hidden below the ground or is frozen in the ice caps. But you can also find tall mountains like Olympus Mons, which is 3 times taller than any mountain on the Earth, and deep valleys like Valles Marineris, which is 2,500 miles long and 5 times deeper than the Grand Canyon.
Plus, there's 2 rovers still rolling on Mars. Hey, look, there's the Curiosity rover climbing Mount Sharp. Hey, Curiosity! We may still be decades away from sending humans to Mars, but one can always dream. So, this week, look for Mars in the southern sky after dark.
And when you find it, dream about taking a journey to the red planet.
You can visit its 2 moons and kick up some red Martian dust.
It's all there when you
Keep looking up.
Welcome back. Looking at the SST analysis for today, pretty warm temperatures North Gulf Coast into Prince William Sound. Looks like 15, 16, 17, maybe even 18 degrees Celsius, and warming up here as it has been over the southeast Bering Sea. And going to the sea ice analysis, lots of open area here into the Chukchi Sea zone, and pretty open here on the west side of the Arctic coast. Still iced in here around the Barrow area either side. Big opening up area there off the eastern coastline up toward Banks Island. And for the marine forecast, south 15, no heavy wind coming up at all for these areas, with the exception of the small craft advisories as those southerly winds increase to 30 knots tomorrow afternoon, seas building to 6 feet for northern Lynn Canal, otherwise south to southeast at about 20 with 4-foot seas. Same thing for Saturday, still very brisk winds there for Lynn Canal right out of the south. South 15 for Stevens Passage, northwest 20 for Clarence Strait, and very light winds here along the coast, west-southwest, 10 to 15 knots, seas running 4 to maybe 5 feet. And for Cook Inlet, southwest 15 tomorrow, Prince William Sound, light southerly winds or variable to south at about 10. And south to southwest 15 for the North Gulf Coast. Southeast winds 20 knots, Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay, east side of Kodiak Island, otherwise variable with 2-foot seas there for Shelikof Strait. On the next day, pick the winds up east there, 20 knots. Small craft advisories now for Kamishak Bay for those easterly winds, and south to southeast or southerly winds turning southeast for the Barren Islands, western Gulf Coast turning back to southerly. Southeast winds 20 knots, Prince William Sound, seas up to 4 feet. For the Bristol Bay zone tomorrow, southwest at 15, westerlies 15 to 20 here for the peninsula, 5 to 7 foot seas, light northwesterlies, Castle Cape to Sitkinak. And then swinging around to the southeast, small craft advisories here, south to southeast 25 to 30 knots, especially from Castle Cape to Sitkinak. And also small craft advisories there for Bristol Bay, Bering Sea side of the peninsula, lighter winds southeast to 20. Out over the Aleutians, light variable winds tomorrow, Adak and Atka, central Aleutians really laying down or continuing to stay laid down with 3 to 5 foot seas, and not much stronger out to the west, just 10 to 15 knots. Southwest 15 with 4 to 7 foot seas for the Fox Islands. And on Saturday, westerly winds 20 knots from Shimia all the way east to Atka, turning northwest here through this zone, and then west-northwest 25 to 30 knots there for the Fox Islands with 6 to 9 foot seas. And for Friday, tomorrow, southwest 20 here for the coast, south 15, St. Lawrence Island, southwest, same speed for the Pribilofs, 20 knots out of the southwest for the northern bearing. And, excuse me, it looks like 25 knot small craft advisories. St. Matthew Island, south 25 for St. Lawrence Island, and south to southeast here for the coast at about 20 knots. Eastern Arctic coast tomorrow, east winds at 20 knots with seas in open areas up to 4 feet. Southeast 20 for the central coast, back to east, lighter northeasterlies, southeast from Wales up to Cape Thompson. And for Friday, from Wales up to Cape Beaufort, south 20 knots, 4-foot seas, southwest 20 knots with 4-foot seas on the western coast. And then looking for a pretty good increase on the winds here for the eastern coast, eastern Beaufort Sea coast with 30 knots in the forecast there. There's going to be a little brisk out in that area on Saturday. For tonight, again, watching this front edge its way eastward and a little to the north here. Definitely spreading rain into St. Lawrence Island. Chance of rain across the deltas all the way down to Kodiak Island. Maybe a little more showery there. It's hard to tell if anything will get into Kodiak State Airport or not, but fair and mild here over the interior. Light winds, no change in the Arctic coast. Variably cloudy. Showers along the eastern border there of the Panhandle. For tomorrow, clouds increase over Cook Inlet and the Kenai Peninsula with a chance of moisture down to the south. A few showers Kodiak Island. Rain chances increase Norton Sound, southern Seward Peninsula. More moisture rolling into the central Aleutians, but the eastern interior here in the north areas, still another pretty mild sunny day, even for northern Cook Inlet, into the mid-80s for the Tanana Valley. A few more clouds for the Panhandle, keeping the temperatures down a little bit. And then for Sunday, this area of moisture tomorrow night hits the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. Pretty good front and low pressure area in this position on Saturday afternoon with rain spreading up into the southern Yukon Delta. Have a great evening.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, fueling philanthropic programs and dedicated to creating educational and professional opportunities for Alaska Native people.
The National Weather Service.